Undemocratic elements in GNU undermine democracy by Michael Andisiele Mayalo. In recent discussions about national unity, the Government of National Unity GNU concept has gained traction as a potential solution to political fragmentation and discord. This appeal of a GNU lies in its promise to bring together diverse political factions to form a stable, inclusive administration. However, the effectiveness and integrity of such a government are called into question when it includes parties with a history of opposing democratic values. The idea behind the GNU is to forge unity by bringing together parties with different perspectives to work towards common goals. Theoretically, this approach should help bridge political divides and promote inclusivity. However, when a coalition includes parties that have historically resisted democratic progress, it risks undermining the very values it aims to uphold. This is particularly concerning when the coalition includes parties that have historically been seen as pro-apartheid or have perpetuated policies that contradict the principles of equality and justice. The DA, for instance, have been criticized for its past stances and policies that seem to align more with the legacy of apartheid than with democratic principles. While the party has evolved, its historical record raises legitimate concerns about its commitment to the ideals of democratic society. Including such a party in a GNU could be interpreted as a tacit acceptance of views that counter the essence of democratic advancement. The danger of including undemocratic elements in a GNU lies in a potential erosion of democratic gains. Democracy is built on the foundations of equality, justice, and human rights. When a government coalition incorporates parties with a questionable commitment of these values, it risks diluting the democratic principles that have been hard-won over decades. This compromise could lead to a situation where the government actions and policies reflect a regression rather than a progression of democratic values. Moreover, including historically problematic parties in a GNU could send a troubling message to the public. It may appear that democratic values are negotiable and that political expediency takes precedence over core principles. This could undermine public trust in the democratic process and institutions, leading to further fragmentation and disillusionment among the electorate. For a GNU to be truly effective and credible, it must be composed of parties genuinely committed to democratic ideas. Unity should not be achieved at the expense of these principles. The coalition must reflect a shared commitment to advancing democracy rather than compromising it for the sake of political expediency. The focus should be on fostering inclusivity and collaboration without sacrificing the core values that define a democratic society. The concept of a government of national unity has its merits. Its success hinges on the inclusivity and democratic integrity of its components. Incorporating parties with a history of opposing democratic values, such as the DA, risks reversing the gains of democracy rather than consolidating them. True unity requires a coalition that aligns with democratic principles and reinforces our progress towards a just and equitable society. As we navigate the complexities of political cooperation, let us ensure that our pursuit of unity does not come at the expense of the democratic values that define our nation. Mayalo is a young social entrepreneur. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of IOL or independent media. On the other hand, South Africans are not xenophobic. By Kenneth Mokhatle. It is inappropriate to gaslight or patronize South Africans who are expressing concerns about the country's immigration policies, refugees, and asylum seekers. South Africa, as a democratic nation, allows for dissenting and diverse views, unlike other countries where opinions are often suppressed. Immigration is not solely a concern for South Africa. Hundreds of thousands of immigrants migrate from poorer African countries to European nations. Due to its economic prosperity, stable democracy, and cohesive social fabric, South Africa is an attractive destination for immigrants from third world countries. These immigrants are not only looking to work or study in South Africa, but also aim to obtain South African citizenship to secure their futures, as they do not believe their countries of birth will be able to improve their economic conditions. As long as many African countries fail to improve their economies and stabilize their democracies, more African youth will continue to migrate to South Africa, which is also grappling with local issues such as increasing wealth and income inequalities, skyrocketing unemployment levels, poverty, crime, and other social challenges. There are over 8 million unemployed youth South Africans who are frustrated and losing hope finding a job or business opportunity. It is unfair to manipulate South Africans into believing they are wrong to raise concerns about immigration. It is well known that immigrants are often prioritized by labor markets due to their willingness to accept lower wages, which allows employers to increase their profits. Local workers are not willing to be paid very low wages and are often not registered for benefits such as provident funds, unemployment insurance, health insurance, and income tax. Discussing the allocation of scarce resources within one's country is neither xenophobic or Afrophobic. It is essential for citizens to have a voice in how their society is organized. We should not silence or suppress differing viewpoints or attempt to discredit those who hold them. South Africa belongs to its citizens who have the right to decide how they wish to organize their society. Just as Europeans and Americans openly discuss immigration and work on solutions, South Africans should also engage in these conversations regardless of how sensitive the issue may be. To address the rising levels of immigration, we must identify the push and pull factors that drive it. As the largest economy in Africa, what steps can South Africa take to help these African countries create opportunities for their citizens and discourage them from migrating to other countries? Since the year 2000, Zimbabwe has experienced economic and political decay due to its totalitarian regime and the introduction of fast-track land reform programs. This economic decline has prompted many Zimbabweans to migrate to Europe, the US, South Africa, and other countries in search of better economic opportunities. As a result, a significant number of Zimbabweans continue to cross into South Africa seeking greener pastures. South Africa should leverage its position as the continental superpower to promote constitutional democracy in African countries whose democratic politics directly impact it, such as Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Ghana, Malawi, and others that are not showing willingness to improve their governance structures, economic outlook, and social order. Countries like Nigeria and Zimbabwe have the potential to build stronger economies to reduce ongoing immigration. South Africa should adopt a firmer stance towards these nations, particularly Zimbabwe, by imposing consequences for its dictatorship until it changes its totalitarian policies that drive its citizens to flee. stop labeling people as xenophobic if they have different views. Everyone has the right to participate in discussions about how they want to organize their society. Kenneth Mokhatle is a political analyst and columnist. And that's it from Egypt's Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.